Hi, everybody. In this class, we are going to talk about another turning point in the war. This turning point is the Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain is the name given to the air war that took place between the British and German air forces. The British Air Force was called the Royal Air Force, and the German Air Force was called the Luftwaffe. It was fought in the summer, European summer of 1940, and it is often seen as a turning point in the war, as I told you before. Because before the Battle of Britain, Britain could have been invaded by the German army. But after this battle, Britain was safe from invasion because she won this war. The Battle of Britain was fought over the skies, over the channel, the English Channel, as I told you, between the German Luftwaffe and the England Royal Air Force. What happened? After Dunkirk, remember Dunkirk, when the soldiers were rescued, 300,000 soldiers were rescued? Well, Hitler controlled all Western Europe except Britain. Obviously, he wanted to conquer Britain, something that has never been achieved in Europe. For example, Napoleon wanted to conquer Great Britain and he couldn't. Remember that he imposed the continental system, but all the same, it was a failure. Hitler wanted to conquer Great Britain, and for that reason he made preparation for the Operation Sea Lion. This was the code name for the invasion of Britain. Well, German troops were assembled on the French coast, as we saw before, but obviously they could not cross the English Channel. Why? One of the reasons was because the English Navy was very powerful, and although Germany had been preparing their ships, she was not at the same level of Great Britain. So the troops, the German troops were there in the French coast, and obviously they couldn't cross the English Channel. They were waiting until Hitler had complete control of the skies. Why? Because he could not send ships full of troops to see if there was a chance they might be bombed from the air. So the first task was for the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, to wipe out the British Air Force, the Royal Air Force. Hitler was very optimistic concerning this battle. He was absolutely sure that Germany was going to win the Battle of Britain. He was hopeful that the German planes, the Messerschmitt, would be superior to the British one, the Spitfires and the Hurricanes. But the problem was that Hitler didn't know something which was very important. The British pilots were much more experienced than the German pilots, and the Royal Air Force planes, that is to say the Spitfires and Hurricanes, had radar. So, and also the military bases of Great Britain had radar that could detect any air activity, and obviously that was an advantage for the Royal Air Force. Although Germany had more planes and more pilots, the battle was absolutely complicated for Hitler because he didn't expect such resistance by the Royal Air Force. As I told you before, the German planes had some problems because of this radar system developed by the British that could detect planes before they reached the English coast. Besides, the German fighters could only carry enough fuel to fly over Britain for 30 minutes, and they were told to fly close together, which made it easy for the British to attack them, of course. The first attack took place on July 1940. Throughout the summer, German planes dropped bombs on airfields, radar stations, and ports all around Britain. The Royal Air Force lost large numbers of planes, although the Germans lost more. However, the British were able to produce an average of 563 new planes each month from July to September. So too many planes, so there was no problem for Great Britain. British pilots pushed themselves hard. Between landing and taking off, all they got were short periods of rest while the plane was refueled and rearmed. On September 17, Operation Sea Lion was called off. Britain had won its first victory in the Second World War. What happened? There was an incident in August in August of that year, August 23rd, because German planes accidentally dropped some bombs in London. So Winston Churchill ordered to retaliate, and bombs were dropped on Munich. Hitler was furious and decided to bomb London. 40,000 civilians died. So after this war, from August 1940 to June 1941, when large-scale bombings practically ceased, more than 40,000 citizens of Britain were killed in air attacks. Thousands of houses were damaged or destroyed in many parts of the country, and entire sections of cities were laid in ruins. Most appalling were the casualties among civilians. The war, or this Battle of Britain, was won by the Royal Air Force, that is to say, by the British. And why is it a turning point? It is a turning point because Hitler could not achieve the first objective he had to conquer Great Britain, and it was the first defeat Germany received in World War II. So that is why this Battle of Britain is an important turning point in World War II. Okay, see you next class. Bye bye.